Shulini Spotlight. Today we are joined by a highly experienced and respected name in the field of public relations, Charanjeet Singh. With an impressive career spanning over 45 years, Mr. Singh is the founder and CEO of Core PR, a leading public relations firm. He has also worked with a German multinational company as a PR manager, bringing global exposure and expertise to his profession. Earlier in his career, he was associated with the Haryana Government, where he served as an assistant editor for their news magazine. Hello, sir. Welcome to Shulini Spotlight. We are so glad to have you here.
Thank you, Anu. It's been a pleasure being a part of the spotlight. Thank you so much.
So, sir, my first question to you is how would you define public relations in this fast paced environment today?
Thank you, Anu. This is one question which most people, even the professionals, often ask about it as to what public relation is, because it is a term which is largely misunderstood by the people, because the PR as a word or as a terminology or the public relation is being interpreted as something which everybody does. Someone who is good at networking, someone who is good at meeting people is considered good enough for in public relations. But this is actually a management function. This is the science and art of strategically managing communication of an organization with its various groups of people, and this can vary. Actually, the publics, it's a technical term in public relations. The publics for every organization is different. It is not constant. So that is where the intriguing part lies in its practice, and this is a management practice which helps organization achieve their objectives, whatever their goals are, whatever their corporate missions, the values which they want to generate in the minds of the people. So that is managed through PR and managing communication.
All right, sir. Like you said, that PR is usually misunderstood. So, what actually inspired you to step into PR, and how has your journey been?
Yes, I moved from journalism into public relations, uh, not by accident, I would say, because many of the people do move on from journalism to PR. I had been a journalist, and I was handpicked by the Haryana government uh, for an assignment, especially that was also a journalistic assignment, and we had to edit a 100 pages magazine which the Haryana government public relation department was starting. So I moved into that role as a journalist only, as a assistant editor of a magazine, and that was my introduction to public relation, in fact. And in the government PR, they then gradually engaged me in handling various kinds of government communication also, besides my journalistic assignments. And that is where I got exposed to the public relation activities. And but that was a short stint of 1.5 years, and from there I moved into the corporate sector, and it was a German collaboration company in India, which I joined as the PR head. And it is there. Then I had to study, and I got in touch with the various professional bodies and the people who were managing uh, those professional bodies, and they guided and they shared more information, invited me over to the conferences and various workshop sessions, and that you know it was a kind of self-development for me to get into and learn more about the PR management and how it helps an organization grow. So that is what had been my journey, and it's a learning experience every day. The challenges are different for every organization you work with, and the situations change, and one has to keep abreast with what is happening around the globe. Every situation interacts with every organization, and it impacts, just like the current war which is going on, and it is impacting many other corporate sectors. So
True,
the
true.
challenges have to be there, the challenges are there, and these have to be managed properly by creating appropriate strategies for the organization to survive and sustain itself in the challenging situations.
Well said, sir. So, sir, you mentioned in your answer that PR also helps a company or any organization grow. Usually, the first words that come to your mind, especially as an entrepreneur, are marketing or advertising for the growth of an organization.
Yeah.
So, how is PR different from these two terminologies?
See, public relation is a predominantly an umbrella discipline, uh, because advertising, marketing, all sorts of communication are the subsets of public relations practice, and it encompasses everything. Only thing is advertising, the channels which we are using for advertising purposes, we are using the paid media. We pay for our communication and get our messages across to the people by paying for it and advertising it, right? So it could be print, it could be radio, it could be television, it could be even online, it could be even the outdoors, the hoardings and the billboards which you see, anything which is paid for. So advertising takes care of that. But it's a part of the overall communication strategy of an organization, what it exactly intends to achieve. And this is an ongoing process. It has to be sustained by an organization. So, as an entrepreneur, it is the responsibility that he has the goals or the objective. The entrepreneur has got the broader view of the organization, where do they want to reach, and the PR helps them achieve those goals by identifying the right kind of people who are directly or indirectly involved in that activity. And so we do the communication audit, we find out what are the needs of the people and who are the people who need to be talked to, and who are the real publics and need to be approached. So we identify their communication needs and create strategies to reach out to them to deliver our content with the right message.
All right, sir. Sir, you also mentioned right now two words that I want to dote on. First is public and second is content. So, the most readily available content to public out there is social media. And how would you say PR has evolved in this world of social media?
Public relations practice remains the same. It is the tools which are new. The digital media is nothing but a specific tool to reach out and send out your content. It appears very easy to handle, because everybody is familiar with Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn and YouTube. Everybody considers that it is an easy way to share the content, but this is not. Majority of the organization in the corporate world, we have to understand actually the different platforms which are there on the digital in the digital domain. Every platform is different. Their audience is different. Their psychographic, their demographics are different. You cannot have one kind of a content shelled out on Facebook and the same on the Instagram and the same on Twitter and the same on LinkedIn. It is not like that. But that is a practice which majority of the people do it because it is easier to create a content, one content, and then you share it on all platforms. This will not be effective. So public relations had always been a strategic management of this communication, or all types of communication, to understand who needs what.
So,
So you cannot be selling the fertilizers or the agriculture implements on maybe LinkedIn or on Instagram. They would require different media channels to reach out to the people. It could be direct communication, it could be events, it could be an exhibition, it could be a village level mela. So we have to identify which is the right way to reach out to our publics, and identifying those target groups is the most challenging task.
all right, sir. Like you mentioned that PR is very strategic. Everything is not the same like
Yes,
usually people are doing these days.
right.
So, sir, how important is storytelling in PR, and how do you suggest brands make impactful narratives?
Uh, Storytelling is a fundamental thing because everybody loves stories, and they appeal to the largest audience because they touch the emotional chord. We have grown up with the stories of all kinds, and that is why we remember them the most. And a brand which is trying to garner the share of the mind of the customers or the target audience, the stories have the majority impact, the most effective impact on the people to remember a brand's value, to understand the brand mission. So the storytelling is fundamentally is a way of communicating your content, which appeals to the heart of the people and emotionally moves them. So in PR or in all types of communication, the storytelling is an effective way to tell your to share your content with the right audience.
So, sir, you mentioned audiences, different audiences. We often see that sports people, then celebrities, and organizations, corporate sectors, all of them have different PR teams, right? A whole PR teams for themselves. So, what is the difference between all these PR teams, or do they largely overlap in their work?
See, the fundamentally the public relation practice is the same, but there are areas of specialization. Now there is a celebrity PR has become as a one segment of public relation practice. The sports PR is another segment. There are different avenues now available, and there is a specialization which is available. There are Marcom specialists, marketing communication only, brand building, brand management, and there is internal communication managers, those who just handle the communication with the employees internally. So there are different streams which are now specialized areas in which there are companies which only specialize in technical sector or the IT sector. There are the people who specialize only in the education sector, and so that areas of specialization is available now, and of course it requires the domain knowledge and expertise, and that is why more and more professionals from different segments do come in and become a part of the PRT.
All right, sir. Sir, the most buzzword I hear about around PR is crisis management or damage control, if you will. So, how effectively can a PR team or a PR person manage negative publicity out there?
See, public relation is not managing the negative publicity. First, it has to prepare the organization itself to stay positive and in consonance with the and compliance of the rules and regulations uh, which are required by any organization to follow. So the positivity has to come from within. Public relation is not as it is understood as spin doctoring or whitewashing. The damage control, the crisis situations are always there. It could be any circumstances can turn into a crisis for an organization, but it requires immediate action, right? How quickly you respond to such crisis situation and to the people who are directly or indirectly involved immediately in that particular crisis situation. So that is a area in which every public relation practitioner has to be ready for that crisis handling. And one thing which needs to be understood is that public relations, the two terms which are there, one is the public, the very targeted group of an organization with which one communicates, and the relationship that has to be understood by every organization. The relationships are strong and sustainable if these are based on three major factors: truthfulness, honesty, transparency. I know that it is in the corporate sector, it is very difficult to be truthful always, to be honest, but these are the basic primary requirements that if an organization which has to sustain itself on a long term basis, which it in case it has to succeed, it must remain honest with its publics. You cannot have good relationship based on falsehood. And the crisis situation, uh, the protocol which is there in the public relation practices, that we should be upfront with the facts and honestly admit if there is a mistake. You cannot be untruthful or dishonest in your sharing of the factual information. But then if one is honest, your brand image, your reputation stays intact. If you are dishonest, you can understand it could result into anything.
I think secret of life, sir. That is.
That is true. And the secret of any relationships, even if it's a one-to-one personal level, or it could be an organizational level, at the corporate level also.
True, sir. Very true. Sir, while we are on the topic, what role does media relation play in building a strong brand image?
That's a very significant aspect of public relations practice, that relationship with the media, because the media takes your content, your story out to the public. So that gives us the exposure. And that is again possible. The media relations are again has to be based on honesty and transparency in our operations, in whatever we do, because any media coverage is not obtained just for the sake of it. The public relation is 90% being good, doing good yourself, and 10% talking about it. You reach out to the media with a story if you continue to maintain your honesty with your organization and with the publics you cater to, whether it's the customers or whether it's the employees or whosoever is there. If you are honest and truthful and transparent with them, I think the organization gets its strength from there, and the media reports the good stories. And it is very easy to reach out to through the media to a different audience, and that is what we call it as the earned media. And I'm sure that that earning depends upon how you earn your reputation.
True, sir. Earn is the key word here, I feel.
Yes.
So, sir, you mentioned that there are three pillars to PR, and not always it's possible to rely on those pillars. On the same topic, what do you think are some other major challenges faced by PR professionals in the society or in the world?
See, everything which is happening around the world, whether it's international crisis situations, which we are looking at the moment between the countries, and it is all because of dishonest communication, fake communication, the lies, and these are apparent to everybody, and everyone can see it. And anything, if it is based on untruths or based on lie, it will result into a crisis situation, which can only be corrected by following the fundamental PR rules.
Sticking to rules is important, very
Exactly.
important.
And it is not that the three pillars we cannot rely on. You can definitely be honest with yourself and with your publics by not making claims which are unsustainable or which cannot be proved. So that is the basic policy of any organization. Think of Apple or the Microsoft or the Google. Uh, the large amount of work is for the general good of the people, right?
Yes.
So that is the values and ambitions with which they work, and which or you go to McDonald or KFC, that credibility has been built over the years by sustaining the quality and how they are visually, graphically conveying those values to their customers. And that is what helps an organization to gain strength, gain credibility, gain trust of the people, which is most significant. And for in today's world, any organization, any country, anybody who has to build a credibility and trust, they have to be very, very open and honest with their work.
So, sir, what are some key skills that a student must possess to be able to work in this environment of PR?
Uh, Stay in touch with the current affairs. And number one, I would say, is actually the right skill which is required is of the writing.
Okay.
And the number two skill is reading. As much as you can read the newspapers and the magazines and the books, you can increase your horizon of understanding the world.
Okay. So, speaking of horizons, what is the spectrum of opportunities present today to students who want to enter this industry?
In the field of communication, you can get into the management of the brand management. You can enter into the internal communication area. You can enter the corporate communications. Every organization, every government body, and even the corporate sector, the small upcoming startups, everybody requires the services of a public relation practitioner. And this is an area, if you can write well, you can become an author, you can become a good editor, you can start a production house. I mean, there are endless opportunities for the people who have the basic communication skills. And communication skills does not mean to be a good at talking. It should be good at listening, observing the word, and writing about it. And of course, there's a digital media, the social media, There are n number of opportunities where the content is required.
So, sir, what would you say is the right starting point for a young, fresh graduate or young professional out there in this field?
Keep reading. Keep reading fiction or non-fiction, whatever comes to your way. Read it and keep writing. Start writing. I think that is the fundamental two basic skills which are required.
And sir, how can young professionals apply for this position of PR or PR teams?
See, there are a number of opportunities. As I told you, there is a Ministry of Information and Broadcasting who conducts this India Information Services through UPSC, and they recruit people for the Indian Information Services, which is like DAVP organization and other bodies of the government, where this IAS opportunities are available for the students, and they can apply through UPSC examinations. And of course, the corporate sector keeps on advertising for the PR people, the startups, the MSMEs, all sorts of industry. And once you are up in the market for 4 or 5 years, you can find your niche, whether you want to write about celebrities or authors, like that. You can get into those specific areas too.
Noted, sir. And for someone who is just entering this field, what kind of salary packages can they expect?
See, basically the opening, the starting salaries are, if you're good at writing and if you understand the media, the starting salary could be anything from 20,000 onwards. But that's at the lower end, depends upon what is the kind of opportunity being handed over to you. It could be a small task which a PR person has to do. It could be research, it could be content development, or it could be media relations, or even the client relationships. Now, the opportunities are endless. It depends upon the kind of organization which you are going into. There are ad agencies who have got the PR wings. There are the PR agencies who require the interns to start their career, and every government organization and the corporate sector, of course.
That's like a huge horizon for
Oh
of
yes,
opportunities
yeah.
for professionals in this field. Sir, before we come to an end, I would like to ask you this question. For someone who is looking to stay in this industry and grow in this industry for long term, what would be your one advice?
Keep learning. This learning never ends, and it is only one thing which has to be sustained by anybody. No degree is sufficient. Whatever the qualifications you may have, you are outdated in 2 years' time maximum. And in the digital world, you are outdated within 6 months. So you have to keep on learning new skills, new knowledge, what is happening around the globe, and that is the mantra for success.
Thank you so much, sir, for being with us today.
It's a pleasure.
It was a great talk with you.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure. I hope that people will benefit out of it. Thank you.
Well, that's all for today. See you next week with a new personality. Till then, take care and bye bye.